Conversation all morning long. Lloyd Financial Group CEO Lloyd and former acting ICE Director Jonathan Fahey. Mornings with Maria, live right now. All right, real quick, want to give you Home Depot numbers, and the stock, which was lower going into the earnings, is now heading higher. They did miss on earnings per share, not adjusted, $4.58. The street was looking for $4.71. As for for revenue, $44.27 billion, and that is a little bit lighter than the $45.36 billion. They are reaffirming their guidance for the year for fiscal 2025. U.S. same-store sales up 1.4%. Transactions up 451%. I'll double-check that number in a moment. And again, the average ticket up 88%. So while the numbers here are a little bit of a miss on both sides, stock is higher. Luke, real quick, your reaction.
Yeah, no, I think these numbers actually tell you the story that the consumers are remaining strong. People aren't buying new houses, but they're investing in their current home. So Home Depot's been a stock we've owned in the past. I'm actually looking to buy it on maybe a 5 or 10% sell-off from here.
There you go. We're going to get into this in the next part of the show. They did miss estimates for the second quarter again for sales, reduced spending on large-scale home renovations and do-it-yourself projects. People are being price conscious, says Home Depot. Time for the hot topic of the hour. President Trump hosting a historic meeting at the White House, bringing together Ukrainian President Zelenskyy and 7 European leaders, all to discuss bringing an end to Russia's war on Kyiv. The president posting on Truth Social saying they discussed security guarantees for Ukraine and what would be provided by European countries. He's also working to facilitate a face-to-face meeting between Vladimir Putin and Zelenskyy, with a trilateral meeting between himself and the two leaders soon to follow. Here is the president breaking it all down.
We're going to try and work out a trilat after that and see if we can get it finished, put this to sleep, because this is not since the Second World War has there been anything like this. President Putin agreed that Russia would accept security guarantees for Ukraine, and this is one of the key points that we need to consider. I'm optimistic that collectively we can reach an agreement that would deter any future aggression against Ukraine. I think that the European nations are going to take a lot of the burden. We're going to help them, and we're going to make it very secure. Ultimately, this is a decision that can only be made by President Zelenskyy and by the people of Ukraine working also together in agreement with President Putin. And I just think that's very good things are going to come of it. And I think you'll see that President Putin really would like to do something else.
As far as Putin goes, the president putting a time frame on when he expects these meetings to get underway.
I think that President Putin wants to find an answer too. And we'll see. And in a certain period of time, not very far from now, a week or 2 weeks, we're going to know whether or not we're going to solve this, or is this horrible fighting going to continue. We'll do our best to get it ended.
Zelenskyy also remaining optimistic there will be a face-to-face meeting with Putin, but says he would like President Trump to be there with him eventually.
I think that we had very good conversation with President Trump.
Very good.
And it really was the best one. Maybe the best one will be in the future. But it was really good. A lot of countries on the side of Ukraine, our people, and all of us want to finish this war. Stop. Ukraine will be happy if you will participate.
Want me there, I will be there.
Yeah, thank you.
Trump also saying that he spoke with Ursula von der Leyen about the worldwide problem of missing children, saying it's a big subject with First Lady Melania, and that they will all work together to solve it. Jonathan, I want to bring you into this, and I think Walter Russell Mead says it best about what we witnessed yesterday in an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal this morning. Trump's stunning foreign policy. The president, like the U.S. relationship with Russia, widely misunderstood, and many of the commentators that railed against President Trump were shocked by the president's warm welcome to Zelenskyy at the White House, shocked by the European-American love fest that followed.
Yeah, I think a lot of it just shows a lot of these people don't get President Trump. What's amazing with President Trump is It seems like every week we're watching history unfold in front of our eyes. It's just so quick. But the most important point about this peace process is not that it's just going on. He is driving this peace process. It was just a week ago he was meeting with President Vladimir Putin, and then this week all these leaders coming together. And this is probably the first time it looks like we're actually on track to getting peace. And what's amazing to me also is when you think about the number of people that have died, 1 million people have died, and a lot of it's just been inaction. You know, from the previous administration was just drifting along, spending American taxpayers' dollars with really no seeming strategy at hand. And, you know, it does seem like hopefully peace is at hand. President Trump's an optimist, and I think he's going to drive this to its conclusion.
And, you know, not to get ahead of what we're going to see hopefully play out in the coming weeks, we know that Secretary of State Marco Rubio, reportedly he's going to be leading this coalition to try to kind of get these negotiations underway, the right choice, obviously. But, you know, the Russian economy is a war-driven economy, Luke. And the way that they have been able to fund this war has been their oil and nat gas sales. And, you know, many of our guests yesterday brought up the point that they want to see stop, including lawmakers, they want to see the Europeans to stop purchasing nat gas from the Russians. That means the U.S. could further replenish the nat gas stores for Western Europe.
Bullish.
Another play in this.
It's bullish for American oil companies. There's no doubt about it, right? I've been genuinely impressed with how fast and quick things have been moving with the Trump administration. You go back to the first couple weeks in office, almost 200 executive orders so far this year. You go back to the Iran bombing. I mean, that happened so quickly. We basically have that figured out, feels like now in the Middle East. Then now you fast forward to here, there's more negotiations and talks that are happening now that's happened the past 4 years. So what I wasn't in the camp initially that this was going to get solved very quickly. But with how Trump's been really pushing forward with Marco Rubio, the team, I think this could get figured out, which is why from an investment standpoint, you're talking about maybe sanctions increasing, whether or not they increase or decrease. I think the pathway for commodity prices is higher because of the unleash maybe of the trade between all the countries that could be coming. Also, I'm looking at Europe from an investment theme standpoint. If we get positive news out of the Russia-Ukraine situation that might be coming in the next couple months, that could be bullish for European stocks. We're
going to have General Jack Keenan. I'm going to take this question to him when he joins us. But, you know, the question mark is, will the United States donate weapons? Will we send troops? Seems unlikely. At the same time, that means that the Europeans are going to have to bulk up their defenses, in particular if the security guarantee means that they're going to have to put boots on the ground in Ukraine if peace can be found. Now, the other component of this, which has gotten a lot of buzz, Zelenskyy showed up to the White House, different outfit this time than his usual army green military-style fatigues. This time, he had a black suit-style blazer, a collared shirt, pants, combat boots. His choice of wear got very noticed by the press and President Trump himself. Watch.
First of all, President Zelenskyy, you look fabulous in that suit.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, you look good.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, looks good.
I said to the one that attacked you last time. See, that was it. I remember that.
Yeah, I apologize to you. You look wonderful.
Jonathan, is certainly a very different outfit, and President Trump commented on.
Certainly a different tone, and I think Zelenskyy came in there with, I think, an appropriate amount of humility, which I don't think he had last time, quite frankly. And you go in to see the president, you go to ask for something, you should be respectful. But you could see the nature of this meeting, not only with Zelenskyy, but with the world leaders, all seem to be, one, getting along with President Trump. And it's really unmistakable that President Trump, is the leader of the free world at this point.
Also, too, Zelensky's wife, Alina, she wrote a letter to Melania Trump, which he hand-delivered, about the kids, about the 20,000 missing children, which I thought was a really nice touch, because Melania Trump, of all people, who doesn't get out there much, she said, you know, that letter to Putin, you know, you think about these kids because of those kidnapped kids. All right, we're just kidding. And on this intel story, Luke Lloyd, I want to bring you into this because the Wall Street Journal has a very interesting op-ed this morning, the nationalization of intel ? And what they say is, does President Trump believe the same government that has so mismanaged air traffic control can turn around the chip-making giant? Again, the billions of dollars given to Intel under Biden, now the Trump administration is saying, no, we're going to take that, convert it into equity. So if you do better, the U.S. taxpayer does better.
Well, I find this interesting because I think Intel is going to become basically the old Tesla story of the government. So the government kind of picked Tesla to win with a lot of EV tax credits and kind of incentivizations. It kind of feels like that's happening with Intel. And I'll tell you, living in Ohio, having a lot of friends and family in Columbus area, it's building up right now. So I think this is bullish for Intel. I will say I do not like the equity stake when it comes to the government because it kind of feels like we're heading into China territory where they own basically all their companies. So I do not like that, but I think they will incentivize it with tax credits and things like that. So we picked up Qualcomm as a kind of underdog recently. We're looking at other chip makers right now.
Well, we are now learning more about that illegal migrant truck driver charged with killing 3 people on a Florida highway while making an illegal U-turn. DHS says Harjinder Singh was given work papers under the Biden administration after they were denied in President Trump's first term. The agency confirming he crossed the southern border into California back in 2018. He was processed for fast-track deportation, but he claimed he was afraid of going home to India. Received his work permit in June of 2021 under Biden. Then he was able to secure a commercial driver's license in California. He faces 3 counts of vehicular homicide. And then there is this, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker signing a new law that opens student financial aid to all residents, regardless of immigration status. Democrats say the bill is meant to establish equitable eligibility for financial aid and benefits for all students. Well, Illinois joins dozens of other states who offer in-state tuition and some financial aid access for undocumented students. Luke Lloyd, the financial impact of that, again, I guess their problem, but a large financial impact.
Well, I mean, I go back to kind of the area I grew up in, Martins Ferry, Ohio, a very small town. It's always the sandwich middle-class generation that always kind of gets screwed when it comes to these kind of things because, you know, my parents, my friends' parents that, you know, worked their butts off and tails off to put us through college couldn't get any financial aid because they made a little too much money, even though they were very middle class. So now you have these undocumented illegal immigrants coming in here taking our hard-earned middle-class money.
Yeah, and again, that is the reason why you've seen the closure of the southern border and such a sea change in the United States. I want to get your reaction to that truck driver. The fact that he was fast-tracked to be kicked out under Trump, comes back under Biden, then he gets a commercial driver's license, and now 3 people are dead in Florida.
It is so horrible with these tragedies, particularly when they're preventable. And the reason it wasn't prevented was because of politics. And you had Congressman Davidson on earlier talking about what the Democrats are doing. They do everything to incentivize illegal aliens to come here and stay here because it gives them greater political power within the census. And oh, by the way, you know, 19 states allow illegal aliens to get driver's licenses, all Democrat states. And what do you have to do to vote in this country? Sign an attestation when you're applying for a driver's license. So it's all about politics, and 3 people are dead because of politics. Totally shameful.
Well, and again,
unpaid driving tickets can't get you get your driver's license suspended. I mean, we're giving them out to illegals.
Right.
Well, guys, thank you so much. We are time now for the word on Wall Street. Top investors watching your money. I want to bring in Harris Financial Group Managing Partner Jamie Cox. Also with me, Luke Lloyd. Jamie, hey, good morning. We're going to start with you here. Futures are actually turning just a little bit around. The Dow is now up by 1 point. NASDAQ and the S&P are still pointing lower ahead of the open. Earnings season still underway. The S&P 500 companies posting stronger than expected profits, surging 12% for Q2, fueled by tech and AI. Home Depot did post a double miss on the second quarter numbers in the last hour. They're maintaining their full year guidance, however. Investors are getting more insight into the consumer. We've got Target and Lowe's reporting tomorrow. Walmart comes out Thursday, Jamie. What are you watching in all of this?
Daryl, did you think we would be at this spot, 4 months ago? I mean, the world was coming to an end because, the president decided to introduce a tariff regime and sort of reorient security opportunities around the world. I mean, here we are sitting at all-time highs in markets. And what we're seeing, you saw Home Depot came out today with, they had a double miss, but they also talked about the consumer actually reaffirmed their guidance, talking about the consumer not canceling projects, but deferring them. I think there's been this sort of worry among consumers that the tariffs might be a problem. They're worried about interest rates, but the consumer still want to spend the money. And I think that's where we are. And as long as consumer spending holds up, the economy will continue to be strong and the stocks will follow along. That's just the way it works. And I think we're going to continue to see that throughout the balance of the year. And with any luck, we'll probably see interest rates drop, the housing market improve a little bit, and hopefully the labor market will stabilize. And, and all will be well into 2026.
Well, if the housing market gets better, that'll be good news for Home Depot. Stock is down just a little bit right now, for Lowe's as well. Luke, let's talk Intel this morning. The stock has really taken off on the news here. This is up 5% right now. That Japan SoftBank has agreed to invest $2 billion in the struggling chip maker, buying 87 million shares. They're buying for $23 each. That's a 2% stake. This is now going to make SoftBank Intel's sixth largest shareholder, and this is coming as the Trump administration reportedly weighs a 10% stake in Intel itself, a move aimed at reviving the company and then strengthening U.S. chip manufacturing. They're considering, this is interesting, converting some of Intel's $8 billion in funding from the CHIPS Act into equity to make the investment. And this is after CEO Putin visited the White House last week, following Trump's push for his resignation over his China ties, and obviously the ongoing delays at the plant and Intel. You know, and even the Wall Street Journal has this question here, Luke: the nationalization, of Intel? Question mark. Is this a good idea? What do you say?
Well, there's a lot of thoughts here. I think SoftBank's seeing what I'm seeing, and that's that Intel and even chips in general, like the CHIPS Act, it's becoming the government's darling. It's kind of like the EVs were for a decade with all the EV tax credits they were giving out. It sounds like there's going to be more tax credits coming. It's going to be more government involvement, and that's usually bullish for those kind of stocks because the government picks winners and losers. So, look, I think Intel's going to be a good spot to be for the next couple of years. I would wait for maybe a little bit of a sell-off to pick up the stock. Ideally below $20. That might be gone forever now with that SoftBank investment and with that 10% stake. Referring to that 10% stake, I'm not a huge fan of government involvement buying directly the shares. It sounds kind of like China, how they own the stocks. I don't want to go down that path. What I will say also is Qualcomm. These other kind of areas you want to pay attention to. We just added Qualcomm in our portfolios. You want to play the AI infrastructure demand, maybe through like CONE, or even the highways of AI, like AT&T and Verizon are kind of the underdogs overlooked. Like, you want to look at those areas, all stocks we own in our portfolios.
Luke, we've been talking a lot about this historic summit. You had Friday with Vladimir Putin and President Trump, the meetings yesterday at the White House. European defense stocks, the defense industry in general, even U.S.-based. Is that somewhere you're putting your money right now?
I'm definitely looking directly in Europe. I know I own Lockheed Martin right now with the defense spending going up over in Europe with a 5% hurdle rate that Trump's kind of mandating. A lot of these countries are at 2%, 3%, 4%. So that influx of money is going to help U.S. defense stocks, but also those European companies, specifically over in Europe, outside of maybe rebuilding up Ukraine if something were to happen. That could maybe help maybe some of the construction companies over there. But defense in general, I'm looking actually at the cybersecurity side. Europe only spends about half, less than half of what the U.S. does in regards to cybersecurity. So like a stock like Leonardo, which is a European stock directly, you can buy in the OTC markets. That's actually where I'm looking at putting my money from the cybersecurity side, because I think they got to catch up to the U.S. in regards to that investment.
Also, let's talk, Jamie, about yields this morning. Investors are waiting on the Fed minutes. That's out tomorrow. Maybe get some more clues about what they're thinking for cuts. But really, it's about Jackson Hole, because Fed Chair Jay Powell is going to be delivering that big speech Friday at the symposium. And this all morning long. I want to let everybody
There an extra rate cut built into the summary of economic projections. I don't think so. I think that both the Fed and Powell will stay put. But I think markets are calling for 3, but I don't think we'll get it. I think we'll get 2. And that'll be enough, but it will disappoint markets a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Markets are pushing for more. Jamie Cox, great to see you, Jamie. Thank you for being here. Luke, you're going to be with us all morning long. And
I'd like to get a quick tour. I understand the basic product, so I don't need to understand how popcorn works, but I want to understand how the process works.
Sure.
This is where all the magic happens.
This is where it all happens.
Isn't that fun? I love it. Look at that. Look how cool that is. That's beautiful.
That was a preview of Camping World CEO Marcus Lemonis's new Fox Business show, The Fixer. It airs Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox Business Prime. And joining us now, Camping World CEO, Bed Bath & Beyond Executive Chairman, and host of The Fixer.
That's a lot.
Do you have enough jobs?
That's a lot.
Do you want more?
Is new.
So tell us about The Fixer. How is this new and exciting for you?
Well, it's really a return for what I've done for almost a decade, which is going into the most important businesses in America that I think are the small businesses that really understand what are the underpinnings of what makes this economy work. And I think what's most different about the show today versus what it used to be is that these businesses are not about to close. They're on the precipice of something really big. That business, in fact, was really big.
Yeah, and so they need to take the next step. And so you go, again, these companies aren't failing. They're not in trouble, because we've seen other shows do that.
Yeah.
But how do you identify first off, how do you pick the companies? And second, how do you identify what they need to take it to the next level?
Without this sounding like a soundbite, I use these three basic things. Even in my new Bed Bath business, it's a people, process, product model, which is what are the people like, and is the owner the actual right person to run the business, and how is he or she surrounded themselves? What's the process like? Do they know what they're doing? Do they understand supply chain? Do they understand their balance sheet? And then lastly, is it the right product? If I walk in and they're selling 8-track cassette tapes, we know there's a problem. So popcorn works.
Yeah, you're laughing.
No, here's a question, because you're probably going in there giving a lot of really good advice to these businesses. Do you ever walk out of there saying, wow, they're doing something great that I could use in my own businesses that I never thought of?
Well, two things. One, I don't give advice. I'm not a consultant. I'm there to make money. And so I invest my own money looking for them to make changes. It's not suggestions. If you want money, this is what has to happen. But part of the benefit that I have of seeing all these businesses is that when I go back to my Bed Bath business or my Camping World business, I learn more than people think. Mm-hmm. You learn a little bit something about people and what you can do. And sometimes when business gets big, you get a little sloppy. Small business, you can't be sloppy.
Well, that's one of the things I observe is, it's all a study of people, behaviors, right? That's why I love economics, and that's why I love studying money, because you get to understand people. Right. And one of the most interesting things right now in this environment is the use of AI in small business. I think this is the best time in the history of the world to start a business. Because of AI and how efficient and how much the cost of getting into business is because you don't have to hire employees.
Is that because businesses are going to make their business plan using AI?
I absolutely think that's part of it. It's a lot easier.
That's a problem for me. That's a problem for me, because I want your own creativity. I want your own ideas. I love AI as a tool, as an accelerator of ideas. I don't like it as an originator of ideas. I want the entrepreneur to know how to do the basics, to understand how it works, and not use the little cheat sheet all the time. Mm-hmm. I use AI all the time when I don't know the answer, or I want somebody to actually take my words and make them sound a little better, truth be known. Mm-hmm. But I don't use it to come up with ideas, and you shouldn't allow people to do that
Absolutely.
either.
What's the big takeaway from the show?
The big takeaway is hard work in the American economy is alive and well, and capitalism needs to be more important than ever.
And work ethic.
That's right. It's hand-ups, not handouts.
Yeah, no.
And I think we got too far into handouts.
I was reading this piece this morning that work-life balance for this younger generation is going to be the death knell of new businesses. I thought that was such a great point.
You want to be a business owner? Don't talk to me about work-life balance.
Thank you. You know what? You're going to stick around for the 8 a.m. hour.
I am.
Will you accept my invitation to stay around?
I accept it right now.
All right. Okay. Marcus, stay with us. You and the Big Money Show co-host Brian Breitberg are going to be our special guest panelists for the entire 8 a.m. hour. Luke Lloyd, Jonathan Fahey, thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thanks for having me.
Great to have you both here. We're going to take a quick break.